at Chris's house, he'd come back every couple of days with all these whacked out riffs, you know, and I'm saying, well, he goes, what do you think about this? This is radical. And I go, well, I don't know about this. This is pretty out there. But the more I started listening to it, I thought, yes, this is what we need to do.
What is going on, everybody? Trevor Krash Knight here, bringing you another episode of the Krash Kourse Metal Show. And today we are going to be doing a little album review. But for this album is somewhat pretty much within the WASP crowd. Fans either hate it or they love it. So we're going to do a little review, and that album is going to be of WASP. KFD or Kill Fuck Die, which is does come out 1997. So this is after 1995's, I believe. Still Not Black Enough from Wasp. Basically, Blackie wanted that just to be a solo album, but ended up going with Wasp. And then also, which came after Kill Fuck Die, was 1999's Helldorado, which I really enjoy. But that's neither here nor there. We can talk about that another time. But today we're going to be talking about, obviously, Kill Fuck Die. So you got on here Blackie Lawless, obviously. And then you have Chris Holmes. He ended up coming back to the band at this point for this album. And it certainly sounds like it. Guitar wise, brought his tone back to the mix. And then you also got Sted Holland on drums and Mike Duda on the bass. So, and I believe it was one of them, I can't remember, it might have been both, but I know it was at least one of them that was on Still Not Black Enough as well. So we will jump, we're going to talk about the album and a little bit about the live performances and the shows and such. So, because you can't talk about Kill Fuck Die without the live setting. So, but first you have here, I'll show you the insides as well. You have here, this album is really dark. Even for Wasp, you can argue. For 1997, I mean, you can put this up against Marilyn Manson, especially the live setting. You could put that up against Marilyn Manson, and it would be darker than what Marilyn was doing at the time. Very, very creepy stuff. But as far as the album goes, we'll start off here with the opener, Kill Fuck Die. Good song. And like I said, I just picked this album up a couple weeks ago, and I've been listening to it pretty much every day, at least one time a day. And I was quite impressed with it because I was kind of in the thought that this was going to be real industrial sounding and not so much classic Wasp.
Did your fans react to the new style of Wasp?
Europe had mixed emotions. America was extremely well received. But, when people would use the term industrial, that would always kind of, I wasn't, real enthusiastic about that, because if you look at a lot of that stuff that bands that are considered industrial are doing now, a lot of that stuff we was doing 10 years ago, so that, and especially, well, even longer than that, if you go back and you look at some of our early B-sides, we were doing that stuff a long time ago. So that, like I said, I'm not too sure that, I look at that favorably.
But now I will say I've heard the horror and another song throughout the years before I listened to this album. So I was a little familiar with one or two songs, and I enjoyed them. So I thought, I'm going to finally pick this up. I just need it for the Wasp collection and such, and it's just hard to find. Came across a good deal on it, so I picked it up. But anyway, it does have a hint of industrial to it. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, to me, it just sounds like Wasp in 1997 with what the metal Battleground sounded like, if you will. Very it just sounds like the debut, but just in 1997. There's a couple songs on here that reminds me of the debut, and even some stuff off of The Last Command, and which we will get to that here. So as a full album, I do dig it. I don't think there's really, now there are weak tracks, obviously, but still very listenable the whole way through. You got 10 tracks here, nothing crazy as far as like this is totally skippable. Very very fluent album, very to the point as well. There is a setting to this album, and it's very dark, horror movies type stuff. Obviously, Chris and Blackie were going through some turmoil with their wives and just relationships and just life in general. So you definitely hear that on this album, and it does sound very personal at the same time. So you got the next track, Take the Addiction. Good track, nothing wrong with that. And then you got track number 3, My Tortured Eyes. This is the track that kind of reminds me of something that would be off the debut or The Last Command, such as Widowmaker or Sleeping in the Fire, but just kind of a modern sounding version of it at the time. And I don't know. I don't get the hate that some of these songs get, or especially the album, from some fans. I think this album is starting to grow more on people as time goes on, more so than say when it came out or 5 years in early 2000s. And then you got Kill Ahead, a fast song, and then you got Kill Your Pretty Face. Very Doorsy, like The End, if anyone's familiar with The End, that like 10-minute track from The Doors off the first album, off their debut album. And just very in that style, but just a heavy metal version of that as well. Very, very good stuff. Very good. And then also you got here, let's see, Fetus, good. Little Death. And then you got coming up You. You is a very in your face track. It's just talking about hating somebody, hating their face, do me a favor and kill yourself, like that kind of stuff. Like really dark stuff here on this album. Very intense. There's certainly, when you get through these 10 tracks, you're gonna know that you went through some mental stuff, mental metal stuff. Definitely a ride nonetheless. So then you come in with the 9-track Wicked Love. Fine track, nothing spectacular or anything, but listenable. Goes right along with what's going on here with the album. Very, very in the same theme, in the same vein. And then you come up to the final track, The Horror, which is about 9-10 minutes.
With the movie Apocalypse Now. And the finale on this record is a song called The Horror. And it's specifically the part in the film where Marlon Brando is talking to Martin Sheen when they're in the cave at the end, and he's explaining to him what that trip of insanity is, that dark space that all humans have. We had 3 little words in it, kill, fuck, die. Didn't make sense. Sounded good, but didn't make sense. Didn't know what to do with it. So we thought, well, we're on to something here, so why don't we try this again on another song? So we wrote the spin-off, which eventually became the title track, Kill, Fuck, Die, but it still didn't make sense in of itself. We had to have something that made sense for it. So in writing that song, I came up with a line in the chorus that said, that's all you get from life. Kill, fuck, die. That's all you get from life. And when I had that, I went, yes, thank you. I have an anthem for the 90s.
It's a little bit kind of like a sequel to Kill Your Pretty Face. Because it sounds like an actual heavy metal version of The End from the Doors. So you got those two songs. You got Kill Your Pretty Face and the Horror, that are kind of one of the same. They would be like brother songs, you would say, or part one, part two, maybe. But still very good. Just the metal version of The End from the Doors. Very good stuff. So and that's a great way to end the album, and that's during this tour, that's what they ended on as well. I believe they ended on Kill Your Pretty Face and the Horror. Certainly the Horror. And then that's when they killed the live pigs and like did all the stuff with the nun and eventually Marilyn Manson. But we'll get to that here.
I know that there are some fans out there, when they're first going to hear this record, they're going to go, wow, what is this? But I know without question, it's the most intense record that we have ever made. And it may take people a few listens to cotton on or to grasp what this is all about, but we feel that we've made the right record for right now.
So to me, I really dig this album. I don't get the hate for it. It just sounds like WASP, but just in 1997. You still have the roots. Chris Holmes going wild on it. Nothing. I mean, there's solos here, so it's not like something way out of left field. It's not like they're trying to do a Limp Bizkit or just a Slipknot, or you're getting Blackie. Good songwriting, good music, just good music in general. But it is very dark, and I know way darker than the first album, as you can see here behind me. Way darker than that, but very fitting though at the same time. It fits WASP. It's not out of the realm of WASP lyrically. Now, it certainly is the darkest, no doubt. I will give you that. It's certainly the darkest, but nothing crazy. I mean, sure, you can say at the time it might have been crazy when it came out in 97, was like, wow, WASP's doing this, but I don't know. It's nothing. I'm glad it's starting to get the love, though, that it deserves now from fans and from new fans. So we can talk a little bit about the live setting now.
We felt that if the movie The Exorcist scared people 20 years ago, it won't scare people now. The WASP show of 12 years ago won't scare people now. If we were going to come back and we were going to do this show in this decade, we were going to have to be the nastiest, the stinkiest, most vile band on this planet. And with the show that you're getting ready to see up here tonight, I think we're hitting the bullseye.
So very, very, as I mentioned here, they did a lot of wild stuff on this tour for the show. So like the last two songs or to finish the set, they did the Horror, and I believe before that, Kill Your Pretty Face. But yeah, it's just very creepy setting as far as in the crowd. If you're watching it from in the crowd, just that horror, literally horror movie music. It just sounds so creepy, so satanic. Man, I can understand why Blackie doesn't want to do that or like anything off this album anymore or talk about that, because very dark times, no doubt about that, for him, and just the atmosphere of that live setting, like raping a nun and then eventually I believe like the last few weeks or the end part of the tour, they switched out the nun for Marilyn Manson, and then he, I guess, was raping Marilyn Manson. So that's kind of funny, but definitely. Then after that, though, they bring up the pig, and then they say, obviously in Kill, Fuck, Die and the Horror, all pigs die, and they bring it out on like two poles and lift up the pig by its fours, like so it's spread out, and he takes like this samurai sword, machete, or whatever, and just cracks through it. I seen some where he cracks right through the middle, like of the stomach, splits it in half, and then also he takes off other videos where he just takes off the head. He just chops through the head and just holds it up in the front of the crowd.
This is dangerous rock and roll, and there's not one truly dangerous band on this planet. There's not a band who strikes fear in the hearts of promoters, record company people, parents, to the point where they look at a picture and they slam that picture down. They go, oh no, you're not going to that. You're not going to see that. That's what a truly dangerous band is. That is the spirit of rock and roll. All we're doing is carrying that on. This is show business. We're not curing AIDS or trying to present world peace here. This is...
So good it can't be all that bad, right?
Unless you're the pig. The coming year is going to be a good year for us, but it's also going to be a highly controversial year too, because I mean, we understand that to make an omelet you got to break some eggs, and if that's the case, we're going and raping the whole damn hen house on this one, because we ain't taking no prisoners. Because after we're done with this in the next year or two, all bands are going to have to become hippies, because there ain't going to be nothing left to do. We are the ultimate.
So definitely a lot more darker than, say, their first 2 tours, and just throwing out raw meat. So it's certainly darker and more evil than just throwing out raw meat to the crowd back in 83, 84. So, but yeah, I certainly enjoy this album for what it is. So certainly now you can't, obviously you ain't going to be, you're not going to be able to listen to it an hour before going to a party and be like, oh yeah, this is awesome. No, that you got to be in the right context, right frame of mind. This is probably going to make it on my next video that I'm going to do, songs to listen to by candlelight in the dark. So I'm certainly going to be having one of these songs on here, because it certainly fits the bill. No doubt about that. Very good stuff. And okay, so here, yeah, this is kind of like how they had it on stage, the pig, like stretched out between 2 poles, and he just goes right through it. So Blackie, we love you. You know, it's just, and Chris, we love Chris as well. Just, it's just a shame they can't stay together for long enough, because you do get that classic sound still. Now, I said it is darker, does have a hint of industrial, but it's still that classic sound, that classic Wasp sound. And I can't praise this album enough. I had my reservations about it. I was like, I probably won't like a lot of this stuff, because I like the 80s Wasp. I like Eldorado, you know, and like that frame or that style of Wasp. Inside the Electric Circus is good as well. But in the right mind frame, you're going to enjoy this as well. It, you know, that depressive state in the dark, you know, just in that right context of mind, it's going to be really good. I think you'll enjoy it a lot. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say, because I know a lot of people don't talk about this album much. So I just wanted to bring it up, and hopefully bring new eyes and ears to what Wasp was doing in 97, especially with the live setting. So definitely, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys thought of, especially this era of Wasp, because you can throw in Still Not Black Enough, although that does kind of sound more like the Crimson Idol. Does sound more like that than, say, Still Not Black Enough sounds like Kill Fuck Die. But it's still that same era. Under, not a lot of people know about these 3 albums, really. Still Not Black Enough, Kill Fuck Die, and Eldorado. And I think they're all 3 really good and deserve some recognition. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of Kill Fuck Die mainly, but also the era. And I'm excited to see Blackie live. I am definitely going to be seeing him when he comes back here to America in the next few months. So I cannot wait for that. Like I said, guys, that pretty much wraps up. I want to thank you guys for watching. Click the subscribe button. We are going to be bringing more album rankings, more interviews, more reactions, more album reviews. And guys, as long as you guys are keeping this old school stuff and even the new school stuff, we gotta keep metal alive. We gotta keep it going. We've been underground for a long time, but that's where we like it, though, at the same time. So definitely, guys, I will see you in the next episode. Peace.